Live in the markets with Trader Nick. In this show, Nick will cover the latest market trends, whether they're rising or falling. Stick around to hear about trade ideas, latest news, and much more. Remember that trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Today's stream is made possible by our partners and sponsors. If you're looking for a new broker, trying to get funded, or looking for a trading community to join, consider checking out the links in the description below. By using these links, you'll get access to great products and be supporting the channel. And now, it's time for Live in the Markets with Trader Nick.
3, 2, 1.
My name is Nick. I'm a full-time trader and entrepreneur. We put out tons of stuff for free for traders. These are real trades. This is real money. I'm putting my money on the line. This is going to be a live trading video. Here, locking in over $1,000 on this trade. Wow, I'd love to get in on this. Technical insights that really look good to me. Here we go. We're live. Hello, friends. Welcome back to another live channel stream. Thank you for being here. We're back. We're looking at more charts. We're looking at more setups. We're talking about what's going on in markets. And, a lot of interesting stuff. A lot of doom and gloom here in 2022. The markets are, we've talked about this a lot. They're so negative. And even if you're a day trader, even if you don't care about what the overall situation is, I think it's important to at least recognize the environment that we are in. We've talked about this a couple times in recent stream openings, so I'm going to do it just a little bit here of a recap today. So the stock market is taking a real beating this year. If we take a look at the NASDAQ 100, you can see this thing has had a really poor year. This is a weekly chart. From the highs, we are at one point in the worst case scenario down 30% on this market. This thing has gotten absolutely tanked. And if you think about 30%, you might say, well, Nick, I've had drawdowns on my account of 30%. And yes, that's true. But when you're talking about the stock market as a whole, on average, the stock market down. When you look at the S&P 500, you've got the stock market down by 20%. Those are serious declines in the evaluation of these companies and stocks. And what that tells us as currency traders, commodity traders, if you trade gold, pound, yen, whatever, doesn't matter. What it tells us is this market wants nothing to do with risky assets at the time of recording this. Now, things might change in the future, but as traders, we need to understand the market environment that we're looking at. And unfortunately, what we're seeing here is that every attempt to come up higher on things like the US indices is met with stark resistance. You can see several instances where the market pops, falls, falls, right? Pops, falls. The point of me pointing this out is, again, if you're a currency trader, this impacts you too. You're not exempt from these moves. For example, has anyone been paying attention to, for example, AUD/USD? This market has been seeing a similar pattern. You see situations where the market pops, falls, and now the question is, will it fall again? Again, the point that we need to understand is that this market is not out of the clear. If you're watching this thing, if you're watching the Aussie dollar, we are not out of the clear yet. In fact, this one kind of looks like it may be ready for some short side, just going with the flow. Will things change and go back in the other direction? It's possible, but as trend traders, what we do is we try not to predict what's going to happen. We try and just react to what we're seeing. This market on pops seems to fall. And so as we come up into these areas, the Aussie dollar to me looks like a potential sell setup. And this is one that got called to my attention here today by taking a look here. You can see the Aussie dollar came up very low on my scanner here. And the interesting thing about this is that when something comes up low on the scanner, what that means is that across the board, across all these different metrics, GDP growth, inflation, unemployment, interest rate, trends, seasonality, retail sentiment, COT, the commitment of traders report, all of that stuff leads us to a bias in this chart that we've built, this table that we've built here at A1 Trading. This is the A1 EdgeFinder. The Aussie dollar has been a strong sell reading recently, and it's got a -4 score. You can see across the board, it's pretty red here, right? So all the metrics that make up the evaluation of the Aussie dollar are leaning towards a sell despite some recent strength. All of that to say, to me, this popped up on my reading as a potential sell. The Aussie dollar looks a bit weak here into this level of resistance. That's my personal take on it. So we're going to take a look at Aussie dollar here today as a potential sell setup. If you're not already using the A1 EdgeFinder, we do have a free version available. Let's drop a link real quick to send a message to Drew. He's one of our team members. If you would like to try this out today, you can actually try the full version. We're actually doing this. This is a new thing. This is a new thing, you guys. Check it out. You can try out the full version. Send a message to Drew, and you can check out any of your favorite pairs. If you trade Euro Swiss, if you trade Euro Dollar, if you trade Pound Yen, Pound Dollar, Gold, Dollar CAD, Dollar Yen, whatever you trade, we track it on our software. So if you would like to try it out today, there's going to be a link in the chat. There it is. Send a message to Drew. Click that link. Just send the word EdgeFinder or software or scanner, and he's going to hook you up to try out the full version today. So happy Friday. Try it out. Enjoy it. And give us some feedback once you're done trying it out. We'd love to hear from you. Anyways, Aussie dollar comes up as a potential short setup here for me. Maybe going into next week, right? Going into next week, you have the opportunity that we haven't seen in a while, which is a actual pullback on the Aussie dollar. This thing has been real sell heavy. We've finally gotten to levels where I would say that you start to get some good risk to reward in terms of a longer term short setup. So what I mean by that is, the idea longer term is what I mean is like a potential move back down to these lows. It's very possible that if the dollar comes back strong, which it has been trending, things might change, but we don't want to assume that they're going to. If they change, we'll stop out for a loss, right? That's clear as day for me. It's like, okay, if the market continues to rally in Aussie dollar, that's why I'm saying the risk to reward is good, because you have a very clear, hey, if that breaks through these levels here, if we can't hold this zone, then yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop out of here, right? On the flip side, we have not seen an incredibly strong follow through to the upside. It's not like we've broken out clean here. Maybe that happens, but I think, we haven't seen it yet. So there is that chance that we are, we're putting in this counter trend here, but ultimately there is that opportunity, in my view, that we could be headed lower and that there's probably some decent risk reward on the short side with targets at the previous low. So anybody else, what do you guys think about Aussie dollar? Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? Let me know real quick in the chat. Do you think Aussie dollar is a sell or a buy? Let me know real quick. Chat, just drop a message what you think, if you think Aussie dollar is worth a sell or not. Another thing, in terms of like shorter term targets, here's another thing that I'll try to do is like, let's say price is coming up into this area, right? We have a pretty clearly defined stop. So at this point, we're stopping out of the trade. But if this market rolls over, right, this would probably be a key spot for me to start trailing my stop loss to break even. And I like to trail stops. If you know my style, I don't usually use strict take profits. What I do is I put a strict stop loss, but then I'll try to trail my stop loss behind price. I'm sorry. I don't usually use a strict take profit. I use a strict stop loss. I hope I said that right. Okay. Aussie dollar is a buy, dollar getting weaker, sell, buy, Aussie dollar. It's going to have to wait for confirmation. Sell, I think sell. Euro CAD at 1.3568 and now starts trailing stops. Australian election next week. Buy for today, sell. Okay, yeah. I agree with you 100%. Well, thank you guys for the feedback. It's always cool to see what the community says. Obviously I'm up here and I'm doing my live stream and stuff, but it's nice to just kind of get a feel for what the audience thinks outside of just myself, because there's a lot of different takes and I don't claim to be the only, worthy trader to speak. So I always try and invite the audience as much as I can to weigh in on what they think. Thank you very much for the 7 Rand there. I appreciate that very much for the donation. Shout out to, hopefully, can I say your name right? Let's see. Shimo, is the T silent? Let me know. I'm curious if I said that right. Is it T Shimo? Tishimo? Tishimo? I don't know. I really am not. I assume you're probably from South Africa if you're using Rand, but I don't know how to say your name. So I'm curious though. It's a cool name. I just don't know how to say it correctly. Anyways, let's continue on. Let's look at some more pairs. So Aussie dollar to me, sorry for that. I just kicked my share. Aussie dollar to me looks like a potential short, but we'll see how that plays out going into next week. I would say that you get some decent risk reward here. That's my personal opinion. I'll be looking out for that trade potentially. If I can get an entry here on the lower time frames, I may actually pick up that to the short side. By the way, you guys, if you would like to see the trades that I'm taking when I take them, feel free to join the Discord. We'll drop a link in the chat right now to join the free version. So click that link, join the free Discord, and come join the action there. We'd love to have you in there. What do you think about pound dollar? Thank you very much for the £5. I appreciate that. Let's go take a look at the pound dollar, and we'll do that again one more time. If you want to join the free Discord, the link is in the chat right now. So click that link, come join the free Discord, come join the action. What do you think about the pound dollar? It says, how can I say your name? Let's see. Let me try. The name is Safag. I'm sorry. That one's a little bit tough for me. But anyways, we'll keep going. We'll take a look at pound dollar. Pound USD. Drew can't be contacted. If you can't get a hold of him, another alternative would be to go to our Contact Us page. Maybe we can drop the link for anybody who has questions. Head to our Contact Us page. You can send us an email there. Head over to a1trading.com/contact. British pound against the US dollar. Let's look. Just Safa. Okay, I can do that. Thanks, Safa, for the donation, man. I appreciate that. Pound dollar. What are we thinking? So I gotta look at this for a second. Pound dollar comes in really low on the list. Let's look. Major currencies. By the way, you guys, for those of you who are using the EdgeFinder, look at how neat this is. The developer, I worked with him on just a mini project just to organize the EdgeFinder, because we've got so many pairs now, so many charts to look at, that it's almost easier just to look by pair. So anyways, major currency pairs, I can find all the majors, which is such a sigh of relief to not have to dig to find these. So if I go to pound dollar, for example, I can pull up the overall reading for the pound against the USD. And this gives us our bias here at A1 Trading. This is something that we use on a daily basis to try and get a gauge of what the market is looking like. And so when we take a look at the pound, it's overall rated as a very strong sell. And let's break this down for a second, and then we'll go look at the chart. I'll just go real quick through the EdgeFinder. This is kind of what it looks for. These are the metrics that we scan for with our trades. So we've got a score -5, COT, the Commitment of Traders report, leans towards buying the dollar and shorting the pound. Risk sentiment, the crowd is going long, so we're more interested in the short side. If you know the crowd is on average going to lose money and they tend to be wrong, we got to be very careful on the long side. Seasonality, the month of May is historically a negative month. That has potential to continue to be a trend. So we focus on seasonality here as just an added metrics to our confluence factors. Again, none of these have to do with the chart itself. We look at technicals, don't get me wrong, we're about to go look at the chart, but we look at actual factors that drive prices as well. And that's what the EdgeFinder is all about. The trend reading is a slight sell. We have GDP growth in the UK, which is faster than the US at the time of being at the most recent data. Inflation is favoring towards the US, as inflation is very high in the UK right now. Unemployment, it's a high everywhere, by the way, but it's just higher in the UK right now. Unemployment, we have a bias towards USD, as there is 3.6 versus 3.7. And interest rate, we have a higher interest rate in the UK. So that's one positive for the UK. Okay. All that considered, we have a sell bias overall using all the factors there. Then we go look at the chart. By the way, one more time, we'll drop a link if you guys would like to try out the EdgeFinder for today, like the full version. We're giving out the full version today for free on a trial basis. So if you would like to try it out today and see if it's a fit for you, if it would be a tool that you're interested in, you could just try it out for free today. Send a message to Drew. His link is right there. If you send that message to him, just send the word like EdgeFinder to him or something like that on Telegram, and he will get you hooked up with a free copy to try out today. So click that link and chat with him. All right, so the pound dollar. Now we've looked at this and we say, okay, based on outside of the chart metrics, right? The COT data, all that stuff we just looked at. We have a bias towards the sell side. And what we're kind of seeing here, I don't love trend lines personally, but I'll just draw some fancy stuff here. We kind of see a little bit of this action going on. A little bit of a rising wedge in the context of a very strong downward trend overall. Okay, so is this market turning back the other direction? Well, I mean, it's possible. If you're bullish, I would say if you're bullish on the pound, there's some levels we really would have to kind of clear before there's a green light. And it starts where we kind of currently sit. We have sellers in this region, right? Let me just clean this up a little bit. So we have resistance on several time frames here. If you're looking at the lower time frames, we're currently sitting at the 1 hour chart. You've got a resistance level here that we're kind of testing right now to see if price can get above. But even if it breaks out, which is very possible, we could continue higher a little bit here. Let me get my color correct. We could continue higher here and maybe push up into 1.26. But once you start getting into 1.26, my opinion, as we just looked at the EdgeFinder and using all of our factors, leans towards a sell bias for me on the higher time frames. So if we pop up into these regions, I would say, yeah, I could see myself picking up some shorts based on the downward trend, based on the risk off market that we're in, and based off the list of factors that we looked at with the A1 EdgeFinder. So that's what we're looking at, right? I think, there's a couple ideas here. If you're looking at the pound dollar, if you're willing to take a couple different attempts, which I often am when I take trades, I might say, hey, I'll take a sell here. If it works, then great. And if it breaks out, maybe I try again, right? That's just something to think about. That would be my bias. My bias is I would be hunting more for sells. Yes, we are putting in a higher low, but remember, you can't let that scare you all the time, because if you just say every time the market puts in a higher low or a higher high or a lower high or lower, like if you start getting into that, it's very hard to ever stay in trades, because you're like constantly saying, well, there's a lower high and there's a higher low and all this, right? The danger of that is just look at the trend, right? Understand the metrics that we just looked at. Until further notice, we've been sell biased on the pound dollar for a few weeks. And I'm not just saying that. Let me show you. We go to the historical back test. We can see the historical readings for the pound dollar. I want to show you guys. The pound has been a sell for a while. So we take a look at this, right? A lot of times, my opinion, right? The scary thing about indicators and things like that, people often ask, they say like, well, does it repaint, right? That's the big scary one. A lot of times MetaTrader 4 indicators will like repaint something. And you're like, I don't want something that just tells me to sell after it already sold off. But look at this, you guys. This is cool. I was looking at this morning with the pound dollar. -5 readings weeks ago, right? Before the big drop. So we've actually seen, in fact, look at this. We peaked right after a big move down. We started going into real sell territory. And so the point of having this historical backtest, for those of you guys who already have the EdgeFinder, you can go see how score readings actually held up. So for example, at 1.26, 1.25, back a few, when is this? Early May, late April, we were getting high sell readings for the pound USD. So if you go back to early or late April, right? That's like right around here. That's where we're starting to see this market turn into a sell reading heavily. Right around here is where we started getting, look for pullbacks, sell into it, right? That's kind of what the EdgeFinder was leaning towards. So that's just something to think about. We added that historical backtest so that you can kind of go see what the EdgeFinder was saying at a particular time, rather than just only getting a current reading. I thought that was a really, really cool feature. We worked really hard on that on the developer side, just to have that. Because again, a signal to me is like, okay, cool, but show me how it did in the past too, because that matters. Okay, so we'll continue on. Pound dollar was a good one to look at this morning. I think there may be some sells if we pop up a little bit next week, possibly some opportunity to look for sell side on that. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go back here for just a second, see if I can find anything on the home page. So generally speaking, if we get something that happens to fall in this area or in this area, those are generally going to be my most interested trades. And here's why. The bottom hand of this software tracks the score reading. So if you get a strong negative, that means it's a sell rating. And if it gets a strong positive, it's a buy rating. The y-axis looks at the performance of the day. If you have a strong move up, you're going to get higher up. If you have a strong move down, you're going to get a lower move. So that being said, if we get, for example, sell rated assets that are up today, that would be pullback opportunities. If we get buy rated assets that are down today, we have potential for ideas there. So right now, based on that, pound USD and Aussie dollar are the closest potential trade setups that I have today. And that's all I need to do. So every day, what I do is I start here. When I look for trades, I start here. This is where I go. Every single trade I take, I start here. I look for opportunities that are popping up on my window. And if they're in here, I'm not touching them, right? There's nothing for me to touch in this area. Oh, look at it. Did you guys see that? Did you guys see that ghost work? Literally, as we were speaking, this thing just popped up. The reason for that is there's a, we're developing on the back end today. So what does this say? Oh, look at that. Yes, this is coming. This is coming, you guys. This is so exciting. We're going to make it so you can filter out this page. I bet you it's not working yet, but let's just test. Why not? It is working. What? Wait, that's awesome. Okay, it's working, I think. What we did is we made it so that you can filter just by a specific set of assets. So let's say you don't trade minor currency pairs. Let's say you don't trade indices. Let's say you don't trade commodities. You can only go for the ones you want and then put them on your chart. I just love it. I love that update. That's going to be so clean so that you can look at like specific ones that you're looking at. So for example, now we can see very clearly which ones fall in this category. We have the pound dollar, we have the Aussie dollar. Cool, right? The NZD/USD is also up today with a very slight negative reading. It's almost not worth looking at. But once you get up into these areas, got a negative reading, and that's the bias. So yeah. That's anyways, one more time before I know I've been talking about the EdgeFinder a lot today. It's because it's hot on my mind. We've been working on it a lot. If you would like to try out the EdgeFinder, let's do it one more time. Send a message to Drew. His link is in the chat right now. We're dropping it for you guys. If you would like a free copy of the EdgeFinder to try out the full version today, like the actual full software, not a free trial anymore, not a free version. We're offering the full version if you send a message to Drew today. We're looking for more people to try it out. We're looking for more people to get in and get on the software and let us know what we can do to improve it. That sort of stuff. EuroCAD. Yeah. Let's look at EuroCAD. So I was short this week. I'm not logged in right now, so you can't see my orders, unfortunately. I was short. I'm no longer short. I shorted here and I covered like here. I didn't make much money at all. I think I made $50 on that move. Like, unfortunately, I was up like $200 and then ended up closing for 50 when it started coming back. Didn't short, didn't touch it the rest of the week. And honestly, I think I need, like, it kind of just, the thing I didn't like about it is that it put in this higher low and it just jumped past resistance. And I didn't really like seeing that. So that kind of spooked me a little bit. I stopped out and I'm glad that I did because it would have been a much bigger move against me. But I am looking at this thing. We'll drop it down a little bit, see if there's anything. I would like to see this thing break out. If we get some downside, if we get a break to the downside here, possibly I could look to re-enter on some momentum pullbacks next week. Does this one still come up as a real strong reading? That's the other thing that matters to me, is to make sure that, I can do this. I love that. EuroCAD, let me actually go look. So this would fall under minor currency pairs, EuroCAD. Let's go look at EuroCAD today. So EuroCAD, still a strong sell, -8. I mean, that has a red in every category except for COT data. So this one definitely is still hot on the watch list. Definitely an interesting pair for me going into next week, perhaps even today, but I have a couple other pairs that I like. I already mentioned Aussie dollar and pound dollar on the short side, potentially. We'll be looking out for those. But yeah, I like this one on the short side. If we start getting some momentum, we get some follow through, I would not be opposed to looking for breaks and retests on this pair. A couple key spots might be, if we can break through levels of support like this. Don't like that. If we can break through like this level, that would be really nice. Like if we broke and then turned that into resistance and then sold back down to the lows and perhaps even beyond, I'd love that on the short side. So yeah, that's what we're looking for. Thanks, Nick and Drew. You're very welcome. Try it out. Let us know what you think. I'd love to, for those of you guys who are trying it out today, come back and let us know. Comment on a video, send us some messages, let me know, let Drew know, let us know like what you think of the EdgeFinder, because we are, like I said, trying to improve it every day. So free version is out. Click the link, chat with Drew. One more time, we'll drop it before the stream ends. If you have any questions and you would like to try it out today, shoot a message to Drew and he's ready. We love the feedback. Yes, indeed. So there you go. Okay, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Trade safe for the rest of the day and going into next week, and we will see you back on Monday. See you later.
The Gold VIP membership. This membership includes unlimited access to the A1 Trading Discord community and access to 8 different MT4 scanners, bots, and more. Receive alerts when any of our analysts take a trade, which includes their entries, exits, and analysis. Download trading guides written by our top traders on topics like risk management and trading psychology. Join live coaching webinars and chat with traders from around the world in our 24/7 chat rooms.